Moving on, thank you, board. At this time, we're going to have some musical entertainment. Our next entertainer is Celia S. Daniels. She is a transgender advocate from India. She also lives in Thousand Oaks, so she's going back and forth from India and the States. So make some noise for Celia Daniels.
Yay, girl!
A couple of years ago, we were invited to a Christmas party. My wife was dressed up in this beautiful red sari, and my daughter was wearing this red embroidery dress, and I was wearing a suit. See, and this time I had come out to my wife, but I hadn't come out to my daughter. She was 15 years old at that point, and I really wanted to. And as we were leaving, my daughter came down the stairs and she looked at me and said, "Dad, why are you dressed up in a sari?" I was so confused. I was like, "Babe, what do you mean?" And she said, "I saw a picture of you in the computer and you were wearing a sari." My wife slowly held my hand and she said, I was so devastated. And this was the movement that I've been waiting for. This auspicious movement when I wanted to tell my only daughter that I was different. It was my time to come out, but I couldn't. But I slowly turned to my wife and said, I'll take care of it. And I did. After 2 days, I thought about it. I called my daughter and we sat down and I started telling her my story. I said, remember 4 numbers I'm going to give you. One is 4, 13, 28, and 45. And I started telling my story. When I was 4 years old, I was this little confused, but really clear little boy. And I loved wearing my mom's sari. I covered something like this. I covered my head with my mom's sari and I was so happy. I felt the feeling like I was in an embryo. It was so amazing. I wanted that feeling. And I kept telling my mom that I wanted to be a girl. My mom looked at the social constructs created by the colonial government in India, which was so binary. And she looked at the community and she knew this wasn't the time for my son to be known as a hijra. She knew all the fear and all the discrimination that was existing in the community. And that was the time she said, no, you are not going to wear that dress. And I insisted, I rolled, I threw tantrums, but my mom was so clear that I shouldn't do it. I went back to my closet. I was so scared. And at the same time, I knew that I learned to suppress my femininity and I learned to survive. And I kept moving on. And I always loved wearing that little skirt. But it was always in my closet. There was a time when I was in ninth grade, I was close to 13 years old. I remember that I really wanted to go out and I was so depressed. I grew up as this really, really depressed kid in India. And I knew that my gender, my anatomy, was not doing justice to my gender. It was so different. And I knew that I wanted the society to accept me. When kids have ambitions in college, when they're little kids, the teachers ask them the question, what do you want to be? I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a musician, I want to be a doctor. My aspiration was, I just want to be accepted. That's who I am. And that was really hard. So while I slowly stepped out of my house in a pink skirt and a plain t-shirt, and I took a scarf, tied it around my head like a wig, and I slowly took the first step outside my house, and I was so scared. I put my leg out and I was like, oh my God, I'm really going out. Do I really need to do this? I was so scared. And I slowly did it, and I just came out. I looked at the world outside and I thought, I'm actually outside. I'm just gonna keep walking. So I took this little plastic bag like I was going to the market, and I kept walking. And I came to this place where a couple of blocks away there was a construction site. And there was a security who was watching me. And he looked at me curiously and he said, "Hey, what are you doing there? Come here." I was scared. So I went to him and explained that I am just walking around. And he was not very happy. The reason is when he knew, as he saw me, I was a boy dressed like a girl. He pointed his finger at me and said, "That's a Hijra boy." And he looked around and he turned and called all his colleagues and all his friends. Close to 7 men stood around me, pointing fingers and laughing for 5 minutes. And I didn't know what to do. I was just standing so much hoping that they won't abuse me physically. It was the most horrendous moment in my life. I just wish that at that point I thought even if they beat me, I'm okay. But I don't want to tell my parents about who I am. I don't want my parents to take that shame. It's an awful thing. And as they were discriminating me, using all kinds of demeaning language, I slowly turned to them and said, "Do you know the direction to the vegetable market?" They were like, "What?" Half of them were confused whether to give directions or to start demeaning this person. They were like, "Oh, you can actually go." And then one said, "Hey, no, but this one. Oh, they were while discussing there. I took a little step back and said, "Oh, thank you, I will leave." And I walked on to my home and I was so scared, I was so worried. But don't try this when you're in a trouble situation. Don't tell them, "Please give me directions to vegetable market," it will not work. But I moved on, I went and hid back in my closet. That was the last time I ever came out. 28, the next number. That's the time when my marriage was being arranged. And I met my wife for the first time. And we both spoke. We went to the beach, we sat down, and she asked me, "Do you have anything in your life you want to talk to me about before we get into this relationship? We're going to get married. I just want to know something about you." I did not have the guts to tell her what was going on because the shame that I held within me was so magnified that I thought I could just offload my femininity to her and she will take away my burden. I don't know what kind of genetics or hormonal biology that is. I was crazy to think that way. And I thought, I think I can, when I have a partner, maybe it's going to go away. And I sincerely hoped and I prayed that it will go away, but it did not go away. 5 years after we got married, we had a child, I told my wife, "I'm different." And she was scared, she was nervous, she didn't know what to do. And especially not coming out in Florida. Well, I had to look for a counselor in Florida in 2003. And there was a counselor who looked at me and said, "You are a confused gay." I was more confused than before. And I met another counselor in Arizona and she looked at me and said, "You need to change your sex." I looked at myself and I thought, who are these people telling me what to do? Why can't I think about what is good for me? Why are these people telling me what to do? I was so upset. I went back into my shell. I came to California and this place was amazing. I've been in different parts of the country. I really mean it. After staying in North Carolina. This place was amazing. I learned a lot. I called the LGBT center and asked for help. And I said, "I think I'm wasting my life. I want to do something useful, being Celia. Can you help me? Can you guide me what I need to do?" They said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I don't know. I just want to help. I want to be out there. And I did. I got a chance to interact with a lot of people. I went to different conferences. I educated myself on who I am. And it was really great. And those are the times that I was never scared to come out. I just came out. And I started talking to people about my life and my story. I also, the more I came out in this country, my heart went back to India. That's the country that hadn't changed. All that you hear in the news is so amazing, but that information is not percolated down to the community. When it comes to people and society, it's still not changed. It's still working on it. And there were times I got involved in an organization called Sahodri. I worked with a trans activist in India who was responsible as one of the advocates for the third gender. So I got a chance to work with this organization where it's called Trans Hearts. It's a beautiful theme today, don't you think? Hearts of Fire, Trans Hearts. And this changed my life. It's amazing when the trans community in India is actually giving back to the community by painting their schools in rural India. I learned a lot from them. The trans community is not asking for medical support, they're not asking for anything, but they're just giving to the community. And she said, when we give back our creativity, when we give our art, our music, our talents, the community realizes and they change. And that's something that I learned from her. And I started getting involved in this organization. When I was 45, I went back to India again. And Kalki had invited me to stay with her for 3 days among the trans community and live with them and understand their lives. And I really had a great chance to do that. But look at me, I was this California girl, I was wearing a maxi dress in India. And everyone was catcalling me, and a lot of people were using different kinds of more demeaning pronouns and all kinds of things. I never let that bring me down. I just kept walking, and I was so proud of who I am. And that's the first time I stood and told my friend that I think I am American in Hijra. And she was so surprised. She said, "Why would you call yourself that?" And I said, "Yeah, I think I get it. This is what I don't want to be when I was 4 years old. Now when I'm 45 years old, they're no different from me. They're my sisters, they're my brothers." And she was so amazed the way it was. The last day I had a chance to sit in a resort. I was having a nice hot chai, looking at Bay of Bengal, beautiful ocean. This waiter comes up to me and says, "Ma'am, aap to kuch different lag rahi hai." Means, "Ma'am, you look different," in Hindi. And I told him, "Why do you say that I look different?" And he said, "You look different because your voice is different, the way you're behaving is different, and I just wanted to, ask you." And I said, I'm a Hijra. And he just turned back and said, "No, you're not a Hijra. Don't say that ever. You're not a Hijra." And he was so defensive about me, and I was surprised as to why this person is trying to not accept the fact that I'm a Hijra, or Tirunangai, as they call in South India. And then he said, "You're educated, you have money, and you are in US. These people don't have anything, they don't have money, they don't have education." And I looked at him and said, if my family hadn't given me the privilege, I would have been exactly like this Hijras today. I had the privilege. I had to learn. My family supported me to some extent, but they didn't know what I was going through. And I had parents who educated me. These people were kicked out of the houses when they came out. If I had come out to my mom saying that I really wanted to be a trans and I wanted to support me, growing up in a strict Indian conservative Christian home, I would have been out. I'm proud to stand here, not because I've accomplished. I'm proud to stand here because I knew the day I was born in my mother's womb, that was my trans day of visibility. The day Trans Day of Visibility, and we carry that every day, we express that every day. And one of the things that I wanted to do is I want to quickly sing a song about Bob Dylan. He sang a song when the third stanza, when he sang about how many deaths will it take. That too many people have died. Close to 41% of trans community, there's suicide rates. If you take internationally, it's more than 50%. What are we doing about it? Are we just gonna let them die and just walk away and pretend like you just don't hear? I'm so thankful for this opportunity. And I want to close with a song. If you want to join, please go ahead and join this song, because I know it means a lot to all of us. And I've sung this song before many times, but when I'm really upset about a lot of things in my life, I just sing the song. Exist before it is washed to the sea. How many years can some people exist before they are allowed to be free? How many times can a man turn his head pretending he just doesn't sing? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? How many years must one man have before he can hear people cry? So how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? How many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. You can sing with me the last verse. The answer, my friend, is fighting till the end. The answer, my friend, is fighting till the end. The answer is fighting till the end. Oh, the answer, my friend, is fighting till the end. The answer is fighting till the end.